Good morning, folks. Welcome aboard another day building Evie. Well, we survived last night. I think we're in the eye of the storm at the moment. So I'm going to have a go at getting on with trying to bend some plywood into shape down here. Well, I'll probably start over there actually, but that's going to be what I'm doing first. I think I've got a piece that I can use as a bit of a test. So we'll see how it goes. Right, well, now I'm kind of remembering where I was at. Then this post is neither, well, it's vertical, but it curves in. I don't know whether you can see that. So it sort of has a curve on it, a bit like that. So I want to try and take that out. And I've already marked up this piece of wood in order to try and do that. But also I need to get it so that it has a straight edge to it that is more like that, or straight front to it that's more like that than like that, because if like that means that it'll support the wood better once it is bent. So got some planing to do. So obviously the first thing I decided to do was ditch the plane and try using a tenon saw to make a very shallow cut, which mostly worked quite well, but as you'll see was a waste of time. I ended up not using this piece of wood. I tried planing it to give it a shallower sort of twist as well. But it was a useful learning experience, and ultimately, though it failed, then I thought I'd leave it in the video to show you that not everything goes right. That marking on the front was just to know how much, or whether I had taken off all of the face of it or not. Then I used a larger bit of wood that was to try and make it all in one. Again, just marking it up to give myself some sort of idea of what I was trying to achieve-ish. I have cut out some of the planing, but I think there's enough in there that you can get the idea that it was a repetitive trial and error process. You can see there how angled that front vertical is. It's quite a way off vertical. Much pondering, and yeah, difficult to figure out. Next day, I came back and had a better idea. So here we go. So in all of this messing around, then what I'm trying to do is figure out how to bend the plywood. So if I put a cut in, or if I put a bend in at an angle, then as you can see, the back of it at the top is closer to this wall than the bottom of it is, which is what I want when I come over here, because this point here is further forward than the top is, which is where everything else is. So what I'm now thinking is that I think I'll make the bend and then make this piece of wood to fit it, because, well, this is proving difficult to guess and what have you, so I think that might be a better way to go. But I've never done this before, so who knows. Just measuring out and finding myself a bit of straight wood, setting the depth of the circular saw, putting the clamps on the wrong way up. As you'll see in a minute, I realise that the circular saw gets in the way, or they get in the way of the circular saw, so flip them over. And
So having done that, then I was then trying to see whether this bit would bend. It bent a lot more at the right hand end than it did at the other end. So I thought I would get some boiling water, see whether that softened up the glue and things. It didn't really make any difference. So I got the saw out and just free-handed. This is only a test piece anyway, so just free-handed repeating. So this now will bend at one point, which is what I'm trying to make it do. As I put this in place, then there was quite a significant crack, which was a bit worrying, but it didn't break the surface, so that's okay. And I started trying to figure out how far back to make it bend and how much bend it was giving me. And the answer was it wasn't giving me quite enough. So having cut this at an angle, it's not bad. The amount of gap there is at the bottom is less than there is at the top. So if I make it another 5 degrees to make that gap more even, might give that a go on another piece of wood. That was 10 degrees, and but it works. So I found another bit of wood, which I expect to be cutting the end off between bulkheads, either in the bathroom or behind kitchen cabinets or something. Then, having realised that I wanted to do the angle, then I wasn't going to be cutting that much off, so I had to change it to a different bit of wood. And I went for 20 degrees anyway. I figured that it made more sense to go over and then wind back to 5 degrees on the real thing, or 15 degrees on the real thing. So I just ran it along a couple of times and cut it, and that seemed to give it enough bend. So then I put it in place, and it made an almighty crack as I pushed it in, but it was okay again. And then I had to try and figure out the supporting batten, which didn't seem to be too bad. Having had the experience of the other two bits, then this seemed to actually not be completely horrendous. But I've cut out some of the repeated chamfering, because again, you don't really need to see all of that, but there was more of it than you're seeing. And then I found that I just needed a bit more packing on the back edge. So I made myself a couple of strips of 4mm ply just to angle that forward. Following day, then I was screwing it up and well, ready to go. And then I realised that I had forgotten to refill the gaps that I created when I pulled off the previous batten. So we foamed those and fixed the batten in place. As you can see, it worked quite well. It's a good angle, happy with that. Then it was a case of figuring out where to make the cuts on the real thing. Decided which board to use, had a few different ones to choose from, just trying to find the one with the best face for that location. There was more measuring, but again, I've cut out the bits that you didn't really need to see. Measure 37 times, cut once, that's my mantra. Ran the circular saw along it a couple of times, make sure it was cut through, and put it in place again. Another crack, but it's all good. It seemed sound, so just screwed it in place to make sure it didn't fall over and wreck itself. A couple of the other walls had fallen over as I was busy working on them. Well, that's the first wall in. I put the bit of wood on the floor so you can see what I've managed to achieve. So I've got two straight bits with one curve, or one bend angle. You can sort of see it on the camera. It's a bit difficult to see, which was the intention, so that's good. But yeah, there's a worrying sort of cracking sound as I pushed it into place, but that happened before on one of the other ones as well. So I think it's all okay. It's all good, and there'll be something to cover up the corner. Don't want them touching because then they'll just rub and make noise anyway. So that's cool. So at this point, I just decided to fix the wall behind it. You might notice there's a slight difference in height. That was a faux pas on my part, but I'll probably lift up the front wall a little to match the other one. I don't know yet. So onto the starboard wall, and it's just a question of figuring out what to do and then repeating the process. I decided to attach the hoover, try and prevent quite so much dust. Then once again reattaching the batten that I'd previously taken off that goes against the hull, and then working out, well, getting a batten. That second batten I'll replace with a bit of 3mm ply in due course, but it was a useful batten to use just to start. This one is a very different shape from the port side. Nothing on a narrowboat is exactly what you think it's going to be. So I'm quite glad that I didn't try and get this ready before, based on the other side. And I decided that I needed 2 bits of wood to get the front into the sort of area of shape that or angle that I wanted. I think I might have cut out. Oh no, there we go. There's the spray foaming. Once again, I managed to remember that before putting everything together. And I haven't coated the back of my boards. I don't think it's necessary. I have on Tilly, then it's not. They haven't been coated, and given that I've got separation between the hull and all the bits of wood, then honestly, I'm not worried. And I am worried about cold bridging in general. So I think that it's a redundant, unnecessary thing, but others differ, and that's up to them. This gap at the bottom will be covered by my radiators anyway, so it's really not a problem. And in addition, it provides a little ventilation to the underfloor space, so that's good. Well, I shall edit this up into a video. I think this counts as success. You can pretty much see the angles that I managed to achieve. So I think they're good. I think they will work with my radiators, more importantly. I guess I'll find out when the radiators arrive. But yeah, that's it for the lower walls for the moment, because the next thing I need to actually do is to put in some bulkheads, which might actually be useful if I go and get the kitchen. So I'm not sure what the next few days holds, but I'm very pleased to have got my lower walls in. They are pretty rigid, so I'm not very worried about them, which is really good. I don't know whether you could see, but I was giving that a shove. They don't move, and so that's really good. I'm very pleased about that. I have noticed that obviously I don't have points at which to join these two in these locations, so I'm obviously going to end up taking those low walls down just to put things in and locate them or whatever. I'll probably have to take them down to put in some power points or something anyway. But I'm very pleased that that's worked. So yes, onward. I don't know what's next, but I think, as I say, it's either bulkheads or kitchen, or getting the kitchen over here anyway. So we will see. Take care. Bye bye.